Hello and welcome, I'm your Code Monkey. So one question that I get quite a lot, especially from beginners, is something like this, basically asking about what kind of project they should build. If you're a regular on the channel, then you've certainly heard me talking about the importance of experience, how the more games you make, the more code you write, the better you become. So I highly encourage you to make lots of projects, especially if you're a beginner. If you want to learn very quickly, then yep, making 5, 10, 20 mini projects will definitely teach you quite a lot more than if you spend all that time working on just a single big project. In my case, I really believe that one of the best things that ever happened to me was how I got started making Flash games. In the 5 years that I was making Flash games, I made something like 40 Flash games, and I made them across everything. So I made some racing games, some defense games, some RPGs, some shooting games, management games, action games, shooting games, lots and lots of different things, casual games, pretty much everything you can imagine. And yeah, building all of those projects, that really gave me a ton of knowledge very quickly. So that is my recommendation. I highly recommend you do lots and lots of projects. But at the same time, when I say that, I do get comments kind of like this. It might lead some beginners to have something like analysis paralysis, where they have so many games they could technically build, they have no idea how do I pick one, how do I do something. Being told to just make a game can definitely seem quite daunting because literally anything can be a game. So here let me tell you a bunch of very specific projects that you can do to help you gain a ton of experience. By the way, if you're looking for a guided step-by-step path, I do have a ton of courses. I've got something like over 40 hours of knowledge completely for free. These are step-by-step, they take you from start to finish, step-by-step without missing anything. I'll talk more about that in a little bit if you're looking for a guided path. But if you just want to guide yourself and just want a project that you can try to make yourself from start to finish, if so, then here are 10 nice game ideas. Now my first recommendation is a really obvious one, make Flappy Bird. This is a really great beginner level project. You've got basically just one character, one input, and some collisions. That is really about it. So in terms of game design, in terms of mechanics, the game is extremely simple, which again, simple is good. When you want a beginner level project, you want something that you can easily start to finish, and doing so, even though it is very simple, you are still going to learn a massive amount. Over here on this one, despite the game design being so basic, it will definitely teach you a ton. You will need to learn how to handle input, how to handle testing for collisions. You will need to learn how to keep track of score, and how to add that score, like when to add it. You'll need to figure out some kind of game over state. And doing this also forces you to answer some very important implementation questions yourself. For example, for this, are you going to move the bird left to right, or are you going to keep the bird just in the middle and move the entire environment around it? Both of them are valid options, both of them have pros and cons. So even on a simple game like this, you can definitely still learn things, even if you are a more intermediate developer. If you want a nice challenge, then you can definitely try doing it both ways to see how they work, which one works best. And of course, also as a bonus, for any project that I'm going to mention in this video, technically there's actually 2 challenges in one. So the first challenge is just build a game. Just get it working, just like that. And then the second challenge is make sure you build a game, okay, get it working, but do it properly. So over here in this super basic example, in terms of the code implementation, technically you can make the entire game in just a single bird class. You can make a giant bird class that handles the bird itself, handles all the input, handles all the collisions, all the game over state. You can technically make the game work in just a single giant class, but that would not be, as I would call it, a proper way of doing things. That would become really messy, really tricky to debug and manage. So building it the proper way would be a very interesting challenge, especially if you are past the complete beginner stage. And by proper, I mean using good clean code practices. I heavily emphasize good clean code practices in all my courses. That is a very important thing. So in this case, doing it properly would mean you've got a bird class that just handles the bird itself. Then you've got some kind of collision class that handles all the various collisions. You've got some kind of score manager that keeps track of the score. You've got some kind of game manager that keeps track of the game state and so on. So instead of doing just one giant class, instead of that, you've got multiple classes, each doing just their own specific thing exactly as it should be. So basically, there's always 2 ways of building any kind of game, any kind of system. You can make the quick and dirty way, or you can make it properly. So as you're looking at this list of games, always keep in mind that this entire list, each of these games actually has those 2 challenges. You can just make the game, just get it working, or do it properly. Which really means that even if you are not a beginner, you can still take this challenge. You can go ahead and make all of these games, but do it with the best, highest quality code you can make. Alright, so for the second game, I highly recommend you make something like Arkanoid, or sometimes actually called Breakout. Basically, it's a nice arcade game. You've got some physics, so you've got a ball that is bouncing around. The ball hits all kinds of cubes, and those cubes, some of them take multiple hits in order to get destroyed, others get destroyed right away. Then some of them spawn some things, others don't. But basically, it's really just you've got a player character moving left and right, then you've got a ball, and basically that ball has proper physics and actually goes on the proper angles so that you can actually have some control of the ball. And then it's really just a case of the player controlling it in order to make sure to hit all the bricks. And once you destroy all the bricks, then you win. So this one I think is a very interesting project. I think it teaches you quite a lot about a lot of things, like specifically about physics, about player input, specifically how this game only has input in one axis. So it teaches you a lot about that. Then of course, as you add those power-ups, you can add quite a lot more complexity onto the game itself. And for the blocks, it involves you to think about the logic, how do I make a block that gets destroyed just once versus destroying multiple times. So yep, I think this is a great beginner level project. Again, it's not too complex, but it does involve quite a lot of things, so it will definitely still teach you quite a lot. And by the way, on this game, there is a second specific challenge that you can do if you are more in the intermediate or advanced stage. There is an absolutely excellent talk. This one is a classic by this point. It is called Juice It or Lose It, a talk by Martin Jonasson and Petri Puro. So if some of you might have already seen this video, this is super popular. It's pretty much the most popular game dev talk I've ever seen. And this one, they do have a game pretty much like Arkanoid. So you just move the player, you've got a ball bouncing around, hitting a bunch of bricks. And this whole talk is basically all about how do you take this, how do you take a game that looks super simple, and add all kinds of things to it in order to make it look super satisfying. The final result is honestly pretty insane. The amount of things they add, they turn that game from something super basic into something that is honestly way too much, but still, it is a very, very fun process, very strange. So yep, if you are more in the intermediate or advanced stage, if so, then instead of just building the game, you can build the basic version of the game, and then work on your polish skills, try to improve those, basically try to see how do I take this game that has very boring design and make it pretty much completely insane. Next game on the list would be Snake. So yep, this one is another classic game. It involves, once again, quite a lot of things. You've got a character controller, in this case from a sort of top-down perspective. You've got the logic as the snake eats, the snake is constantly growing. You've got to handle the random generation of spawning all of the food pieces at once. You've got to handle all of the interactions for how to win or how to lose. So you got to keep track of when the snake is actually eating itself or not. You've got to handle the logic for the teleportation, so as the snake exits on this side, it should come back on this side. So yep, yet another game design that is relatively simple, but in doing so, it will still teach you quite a massive amount. After that, another one of my favorite classic games is Asteroids. So once again, on this one, it will teach you quite a lot of things. First of all, you've got a player character, and in this case, that player character actually has physics, but not physics as in like gravity, but rather physics as in terms of momentum. So you've got a little spaceship you control, the spaceship rotates around, you can engage the thrusters in order to move in that direction, but then of course you keep the momentum. So that leads to a very, very satisfying player control system. You've got the ship moving around, then once again, just like Snake, this one also has teleportation, so as you go up, you gotta come back down, and again, as you come back down, you keep the exact same momentum you had when going up. Then you've got to spawn all kinds of interesting asteroids. You've got to spawn them, make them move around randomly. Then you got to handle the shooting on the player itself, so as the player shoots an asteroid, that asteroid should be broken into multiple pieces until the pieces are way too small, at which point when shooting a small piece, that piece should just get destroyed. Then in this case, the game also has lives, so you got to keep track of how many lives the player has in order to decide, is this a gameplay or just spawn again? And then of course you can expand upon it with more different types of units, so you can have, for example, some kind of alien that shows up and actually shoots you, or you really can just stick with just the normal asteroids, just have the rocks just floating around. And just with that, the game's already very interesting. So yep, this one will also teach you quite a lot. And then you've got Lunar Lander, so another one of my favorite games. I'd love to make one of these one day. So here, once again, you've got a similar system to like Asteroids. So you've got a little character that you can rotate around and engage with thrusters. And then those thrusters, they pretty much modify the momentum of the spaceship. So in this case, the goal is to basically control the ship as much as possible and land it on a very specific place. Then you've got some spaces that are very big and don't give many points, and others are very tiny, very challenging, and actually give you quite a lot of points. So for this one, you've got to handle the character, make sure that it controls perfectly, that's great. Then you've also got to handle the interaction with actually the landing. You've got to make sure that if the player lands way too roughly, they should not be able to land. That should actually give them a game over. So you've got to keep track, how do exactly do you analyze that? You've got to basically keep track of the momentum of the spaceship and decide some kind of value, okay, this is a soft landing versus a hard landing. Then you've got to do a little bit of game design. So you've got to design the entire shape of the actual terrain, design that one, and also figure out how do I place all the various landing zones in the various places. So it forces you to do a bunch of nice, interesting level design. Level design itself is actually a very difficult discipline to learn, so doing exercises kind of like this, the more you do it, the more you will actually learn. And for a nice bonus, you can also implement all of this UI information, so showing how exactly the ship is currently moving, at how much speed, and so on. You can keep track of the altitude, keep track of the fuel time, then of course, time, score, and so on. So you can expand upon it with some kind of high score, things like that. So yep, another great game. The basics are relatively simple, but once again, will still teach you quite a massive amount. Another great classic game for you to make is Space Invaders. So yep, this one's definitely a classic. Everybody knows Space Invaders. This one is going to teach you quite a bit about AI. So how do all of those aliens move left and right? Which one of them should be shooting or not? How you should spawn the special aliens on top or not? So this is the first one that definitely has you thinking quite a bit more about AI. Then you've got dynamic destruction on the little shields over there for the player. You've got to handle how to do that. You've got to handle the collisions between two bullets hitting together. You've got to handle that. You've got to handle just shooting the various aliens, as well as the special alien that shows up on top. You've got to handle the player's lives. You've got to handle the score. And of course, you also have to handle difficulty. So basically, as the game goes on, it becomes harder and harder, to which point the alien starts moving super fast, and then becomes very difficult. Again, that is all for you as a player to define. You are the one who has to define what is the level of difficulty. That is also very much a skill that you need to learn, how to manage difficulty, how to make the game easy, medium, or hard. And yep, something like this, you will definitely start to learn that nice skill. Another classic one with even more AI is Pac-Man. So yep, this one definitely has more complex AI, you've got more complex movement on the character itself, you've got a nice map that you can, once again, train some level design, you've got the teleporters going left and right and so on, and you've got the special modes, so as the Pac-Man eats one of those special things, yep, like that, now it goes into a separate mode, so now instead of the Pac-Man running away, now it's actually chasing the ghost, so it basically has kind of like two games in one, because the game mode is so different. Then you've got the handle logic for when one of the ghosts actually gets killed, they actually have to run back to the center, and then they go back into their normal state, and then go out. Then you've got to keep track of just how much is left for the player to actually win the game. You've got to keep track of the number of players' lives. And yep, you can expand upon it with all kinds of interesting level designs. So you can start off by building just this class of design, and then build upon quite a bit more. But on this one, the main thing is really just the AI, which is quite a bit more challenging. And on this one, the ghosts actually have some very interesting rules. They're not necessarily too complex, but they are quite interesting. Definitely go ahead and watch this video that explains how exactly they work. Basically, one ghost always chases the player, one ghost always moves randomly, and so on. So they have some very specific rules. And when you combine all of those together, then they actually look very intelligent, even though they're all just doing something very basic. Another great game for beginners to make, something that is a little bit more recent, is over here. We've got Angry Birds. So yep, this one teaches you how to work with physics. In this case, not just physics on the character itself, but physics on the entire environment. So you've got to learn how to manage all those physics, and also learn basically how to detect when some things happen. So in this case, how to detect when something hits a pig, and try to identify, okay, did it hit with enough damage or not? Or did it hit something else and the pig fell down? Did the pig fall down with enough damage that they should be destroyed, yes or no? So all those things, those are all things that you have to learn about. Then the game itself also has materials of different properties. So you've got some materials with very low mass, so when hitting upon them, they actually fly away. Others are very heavy, so when hitting something of metal, it doesn't actually move too much. So you've got to play around the physics in that. And on this one, once again, you can also train your skills for level design. Making compelling levels for this is actually extremely difficult. If you try playing the actual game with all the levels all perfectly made, if you try that and then you try making your own levels, you will see how it's actually very difficult to make compelling levels in this kind of genre. Then with implementing that, you can also implement the classic 3-star system. So try to figure out all different rules for each level. Okay, by doing it this way, by just spending, let's say, just one bird, you actually get 3 stars. Spending 2 birds, you get 2 stars, and so on. So you need to learn how to identify what is a level score and compare it to some kind of star ranking. And then you can also implement level progression. So you got different worlds, and each world has multiple levels. So how do you let the player unlock all of those one by one? So yep, this one is a more modern game, so it teaches you quite a lot more of the more modern mechanics that modern game players expect, as opposed to just the basics like the other beginner projects. So yep, this is also a very good one, very good project to make. Another interesting beginner level project is Missile Command. So yep, this is one that you can make either very easy or actually very hard. It is up to you to define what level of difficulty you want to go through. At the very basic level, it's mostly just learning about physics collisions. So as the missiles are coming down, you shoot a missile yourself and you have to identify, did it shoot enough, and did it actually cause enough of a collision in order to destroy the incoming missile? So you've got to handle that basic logic. Then of course you can expand upon that massively. So you can have multiple missile bases, each of them with individual missiles. You can have all of the individual towers that you have to defend. You can have the logic of the missiles coming in faster or slower, or missiles coming in then splitting into two and going in different directions. You've got to handle all of the logic for how do I actually determine how many missiles to spawn. So you need to learn about dynamic difficulty and all that stuff. Then learning how to spawn different things, like spawning some planes. The planes then can also drop bombs and drop paratroopers. So as the paratroopers drop down, they will actually attack your cities. So this is definitely one that can be very simple if you just implement literally just a missile and then defense. That is very simple. But if you add all these elements on top of it, definitely becomes more of an intermediate level project. And for another great example, something a little bit more recent, here we've got Fruit Ninja. So yep, this is another interesting one. It's all based on one very simple mechanic, but you can then expand upon it in many ways. So first of all, this teaches you how exactly do I identify what exactly is a slice on an object. So you've got to handle the logic for how to identify that. Then you've got to identify objects that should be sliced versus should not be sliced. Then you've got to handle all of the instantiation. how do you slice an object and then spawn those two parts and let them fall down. Once again, you also need to deal with difficulty, so how many fruits do you spawn, how many bombs do you spawn, that is all dependent. You also need to handle the logic for combos, so how is it that when you do one slice and you actually hit multiple things, then you can do all these special moves where you suddenly get enough hits, as many as you want. So yep, this is another one that can be relatively simple, or it can actually be quite complex, but even just the basics will definitely be quite an interesting challenge for any beginner. So yep, these are my 10 quick recommendations of projects for beginners to make. If you want even more game ideas, there's actually a very interesting website called the 20 Games Challenge. This one, like it says here, is a fun way to gain confidence while learning how to make video games. And basically it's literally what I've told you here, which is how you should make multiple games. And over here, this challenge is exactly that. Make 20 nice, simple, classic games, and by the end, by the time you have made those 20 games, you will definitely have learned a massive amount. And specifically over here, this website actually has a nice list of games, and here there are tons and tons of games, including many games that I've mentioned and many other games. It goes from very little complexity to something that is very, very large. So making something like this, something like The Sims, is definitely not a beginner level project. So the games on this list are not just for beginners. Definitely keep in mind over here the scale for the complexity. So yep, you can make Pong, you can make Flappy Bird, like I said, Breakout, Jetpack Joyride, that's another great one. Space Invaders, Frogger, that's also interesting. So yep, you've got all kinds of games, so if you want even more than the ones that are recommended, definitely check out this list. But yep, these 10 games here, this would be my recommendation for interesting games that you can make, and if you make all 10 of these, and if you make both challenges that I said, the challenge of make the game just once, and then do it very properly, if you make those two challenges, then basically you will end up making 20 games. And if you make all of these, I guarantee by the end you will have gained tons of knowledge to which you will be able to build pretty much any kind of game you can think of. Now, if you are an absolute beginner, like you have never touched any code or Unity at all in your entire life, if so, then I would actually recommend you start off by following a step-by-step guided path, and only after you have some base knowledge would then I recommend you basically go on your own and try to build these games. So for that step-by-step guided path, I've got a bunch of free courses myself. I recommend that you start off with my Kitchen Chaos course. This is on teaching you how to make a very interesting game from start to finish. Like it literally starts by an empty project and ends with a nice polished game. Alternatively, if you prefer to focus on the language itself, if so, then check out my free C# course. The video lectures are available for free here on YouTube, and they will teach you pretty much everything from the language. It has got a beginner section, intermediate section, and advanced section. So if you go through all of those, you'll definitely gain a massive amount of knowledge. And this course also has a premium version that includes a bunch of nice bonuses to really help you learn. Specifically, it includes a companion project that actually has some nice interactive exercise. So these force you to actually write the code to make sure you're actually learning. So if you can afford, I highly recommend you get the premium version. These bonuses will definitely help you a lot in your learning journey. But if you can't afford, then the video lectures here on YouTube will definitely still teach you a lot. Either one of those, either the C# course or the Kitchen Chaos course, either one of those is great for beginners. Then for something one level after that, if you're looking for a guided path, then check out my turn-based strategy course. This one is very much on the intermediate level. It definitely takes things up a notch in terms of difficulty. Or if you want to learn about multiplayer, then I have a course on making the simplest multiplayer game. It's on making a simple tic-tac-toe game, but again, just like I said for all these games, despite being very, very simple, it will actually teach you quite a lot, in this case specifically about how to make multiplayer games. So yep, check out all my step-by-step courses with a link in the description, and here are the nice 10 games that I recommend you make. Like I said, if you make all of these, I guarantee you will have gained a massive amount of knowledge. By the way, one of my long-term goals is actually to have some free 2-3 hour course on making each one of these games individually. Now, it will probably take me many years to complete that goal. It takes a ton of work to make a course, even on a simple game like this. But still, ideally, I would like to have this at some point in the future. So if you think that would be useful, let me know about it. And specifically, let me know on this list which one you would be most interested in. So if I start converting all of these games into complete 2-3 hour courses, and again, courses on making it properly, so not just making the quick and dirty way, but making it actual properly, to the point where even if I make courses on these beginner level games, they will still be useful to people who are in the intermediate or perhaps even the advanced stage. So upon that, if you think that would be interesting, do let me know out of all these games, which ones you think I should prioritize. Alright, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.